Everybody, so I just want to clarify something because I want to make sure that we're very, very clear on all the different elements in the world, the positive and the negative, the laws of the immune system, biochemistry and chemistry, and understand the jelly juice, understand where we are as a society right now. Okay, predominantly all of you, and even me, are still mutated on some level. I would say I'm probably not as mutated as some of you are, but a lot of you are very mutated. And so I'm going to be bringing in elements and things that you guys have still looked at as a demon in our society. So I'll give you an example. Coffee. That's the hugest one, coffee. Good morning, Sue and everybody. Okay, so coffee in the Matrix has been demonized as well as been also promoted relative to whatever your intention is. Okay, so coffee is is from a bean. It's been processed, and it is like a certain kind of, like, I would say, poison slash nutrient. Okay, that then induces a hormonal response, adrenaline, because it taxes. If you have a mutated body, it taxes the adrenal glands, and that's why you see in the holistic world how they're trying to have you all sequester yourself, avoid everything because of mutated bodies can't handle more adrenaline producing type of drinks and protocols. Okay, so that's where the whole demonization against coffee comes from. The caffeine. Caffeine induces adrenaline. That's a hormone. Okay, all right. So now I have gone through my progress on the internet. You guys have seen all of my different revelations, fluctuations, and all of this. And we also have been talking about addictions. We all have different addictions. Okay? So, coffee by itself, in of itself, isn't inherently bad. Now, if you are mutated and you got major misfirings going on in your body, coffee will just exacerbate your issue. So, no different than also garlic and all the different negative elements that are poisons that are being used as remedies in the holistic allopathic world. There are a lot of things that will exacerbate mutated people. So with J Juice, since you guys are already way behind the eight ball, and you are eating things and doing things based upon your biochemistry, and your biochemistry is really completely mutated, you're going to have to now recognize the different things that affect you, and you're going to have to avoid those in the beginning. And for however long, who knows? I can't tell how long you're going to have to avoid certain things to where you stick to the blueprint of J Juice and to the diet. At some point down the road, you're going to be healed and sealed enough. Now, I've gone through my bouts with coffee. Coffee, one of the biggest things, because I drank a lot of coffee way when I was mutated. And then it became crazy because when I was healing from all of my mutations, and coffee was one of my addictions, okay, because it's a hormone inducing type of thing. And I've also been mutated to where I don't have anything to offset those extra hormones being brought up. It was an addiction. So when I got off the coffee, I started feeling withdrawals, headaches, and all these different things. Well, that's no different than any other type of hormone inducing type of, like, a drug. When you're addicted to any kind of drug and you get off the drug cold turkey and you're trying to fix the mutations, you're going to have specific manifestations. That's pain. It's the body healing. Okay? So you've seen all of my different progress and my relationship with coffee. I'm like, needing it and demonizing it, and then needing it and demonizing it, and then also listening to the holistic allopathic brainwashing of, oh my God, you got to avoid this, you got to avoid that. And I'm giving off all of my own perspective on what you guys need to avoid based upon the protocol. Okay? But now I'm coming to see, just within my own experimentation, that coffee is something that, like, when you wake up in the morning, or when you start feeling like your biochemistry is out of whack, like when I am going through my hormonal changes, because I'm still, I still got my period, or I was getting my period I got my period, I think it was December 8th. And I wasn't expecting it, but I noticed that I was needing more coffee. So I had an imbalance somewhere where I needed the adrenaline. I was feeling really tired. And so coffee was kind of like keeping the balance. It was like self-medication. Whenever you turn to anything that makes you feel a bit more balanced, whenever you self-medicate yourself, because there is a biochemical fluctuation that's going on. It's not necessarily bad. You're when you're doing the J juice in the context of J juice, or even the context of Matrix, when you're taking in specific drugs, you're self-medicating. But where it becomes a problem is when it becomes like out of control. And that's why people are dying in the Matrix, because of their addictions and all of their practices are becoming out of control. They haven't learned balance. But now we're in the context of J juice. And so coffee is going to taste good or not taste good based upon your fluctuations. Now you can say I'm rationalizing because I'm still addicted, right? So those of you who want to cast judgment, and that's why I deleted Charisse Beck. You may have seen her comment that she said, oh yeah, when you're healed and sealed, coffee tastes nasty to you. Not necessarily, because I'm pretty much healed and sealed for the most part, not 100%, because I still have mutations. I'm still getting my period. But actually coffee in the morning tastes wonderful because it's like a, just like, but not too much of it. It's about balance again. Now, when I was going through some hormonal change, like the menopause / healing, and I didn't drink coffee for a day or so. This is a couple weeks ago. I didn't get the withdrawals. I didn't get the headaches. I didn't get any of that. Which means that my body isn't addicted. I don't have mutations to cause me to want. I don't have that imbalance to where if I don't get the coffee at a specific time or whatever drug at a specific time, I start feeling the withdrawals, the pain. Okay, and I don't even know how I even scientifically explain why it is that when you get off of a drug cold turkey, why it is you go through that pain. And it's probably because your body's used to getting it adapts to a specific environment. And when you change the homeostasis, yes, pain does get involved, because now probably what's going on is the body's trying to heal. So when you get off the coffee, it means that not that the coffee was inherently bad, it's the fact that now that your body is, you're not taking in a hormone that you don't need right now, and your body is trying to finally heal. Now I can drink coffee now, and it's not damaging me. Because guess what? I'm finally at a point of equilibrium. I can't drink more than like probably 5 or 6 sips. And whenever I do have coffee in my hand, I'm always making a little, I think I'm more addicted to the warmth of it, but it does give me a little perk. But too much of it, then my body says, no, I don't want it. So you have to listen to your body. So when Charisse Beck says, oh yeah, when you're healed until coffee tastes nasty, that's a judgment. And I felt that judgment very quickly, because I noticed we have a mutual friend, and she was doing my J juice from November of 2017. So she's been part of this world for a few years. How much of it is she doing? Is she actually healed and sealed? Because when you're healed and sealed, you're not going to be casting judgment, because I can use a little bit of spices on my food. I don't get away. I'm not like 100% on the diet. I bring in, now I can reintroduce foods back, and some foods taste great, and some foods, no, I wouldn't probably do certain foods. But when you are healed and sealed for the most part, maybe not 100%, but you can see the major changes, you juxtaposition where you are today and then where you were 2 years ago, and you're like, oh my God, it's amazing, I'm totally different. And then you reintroduce foods, and it's not bringing up a bunch of mucus. Like, yeah, I get mucus in the morning because I'm releasing stuff from overnight. Maybe the coffee does do that too, who knows? But I also am drinking my juice, and I'm also seeing the changes and the healing. So in the context of my whole world, my whole everything, coffee isn't that bad. But if you overdo it, and if you need it all the time, then you know you have a problem. Okay, I'm a creature of habit, just like all of you. We can change our habit, but I like the cup of coffee, and coffee isn't inherently bad. Yes, it's no different than taking in a nutrient that induces a hormone, a spectrum of hormones. Okay, so anyone that casts judgment on the whole thing with coffee, because you guys, when your biochemistry is doing what it needs to do, but you know that if you keep In the beginning, you're going to have to intellectualize what the good stuff is and what the bad stuff is in the beginning, because that's the only way you're going to be able to sustain this and see the actual results. So in the beginning, you will intellectualize. As you move through this protocol and you're seeing the changes, you're seeing the results, you're seeing all the different mutations reverse, you're then going to be aware of your biochemistry. Sometimes coffee will taste good and sometimes it'll taste bad. Sometimes a donut will taste good and sometimes a donut will taste bad. Sometimes cake batter will taste good and sometimes you're just like, no. And then you're going to recognize where you are in the process, where your biochemistry is. When you start craving a lot of sugar, you know there's a biochemical thing going on. When you have more estrogen than not because of your period or something else. And yes, you could actively deny your biochemical cravings. You can do that. Or you can give into it and then drink a bunch of J juice. But in the beginning, when you're really trying to get yourself on a good head start, yeah, you're going to have to intellectualize what the good stuff is. And that's why I have everything. That's why the protocol is like so technically detailed on what is in the diet. It's so conservative. I mean, it really is actually very, very, very like technical, because we don't want to have the spices in the beginning. We don't want to have the lemons and limes and the legumes in the beginning, no breads in the beginning, no major sugars like processed sugar or honey or any of that stuff. So that way you recognize what it is that you're putting in your body. And you already have vast amounts of sugar in your body. You already have vast amounts of heavy metals. You don't need to take them on at this point. Now it's just fixing the mutations and bringing in the positive elements. But down the road, you can reintroduce the things that are off the diet back into your diet. But now it's just recognizing what these foods represent, what coffee represents. Thanks, Masa. What spices represent, what drugs represent. If you're not even aware of how those things are categorized and what they do and why, then you'll just be oblivious, which is already happening in the matrix. You'll be oblivious and you'll just take in whatever, thinking that it's healthy, and then taking part of whatever is the demon element of the day. So coffee has been denoted as like the demon drink of the day. So has mercury has been denoted as a demon element of the day. Fluoride has been denoted as a demon element of the day. And they do that in the allopathic holistic world for a reason, because they have to demonize something out there to then elicit people to be all into some kind of activist role. And then they go and make everybody around them wrong. Now, when I get on the activists, and someone's like, oh, well, you're attacking the activists. You're no different, being judgmental and all this other stuff. No, I'm actually showing you a behavior that manifests from mutations. So when you recognize certain behaviors you're not even aware of because you're so used to it, it may make you think twice. Okay? So people can look at me attacking the activists as something as a negative, like, oh, you're being hypocritical because you don't like someone judging you about drinking coffee. I've already explained that you will be reintroducing foods back in your diet, but you're not going to have the same outcome. It's not going to be on a mutated body anymore. So eating a donut is not going to put you over the edge. Eating a pizza is not going to put you over the edge when you are relatively healed and sealed. There'll be some foods that you will not eat at all, but that's based upon you. It's based upon your culture too. If you're in like an Egyptian culture or a Muslim culture, and there's certain foods that you're not going to eat because you don't like it, but someone who has been raised around it, but they were avoiding it when they were on the protocol, but they go back to it on an occasional basis, not overdoing it. And if they do overdo it because their biochemistry is talking to them, then they drink a bunch of my juice. The juice is always going to be that factor in whatever it is that you do. The juice will always be that factor, no matter what. But in the beginning, yes, you're going to be playing the extreme avoidance game, so you'll recognize what foods are out there and what they represent and what they can do to you on a mutated body. Yeah, about being conscious and balanced. But in the beginning, you're going to have to the pendulum's going to have to swing way the other direction. You're going to have to avoid, you're going to have to be judgmental, in a lot of ways. And Cherise Beck was being judgmental, and considering she's been on the protocol for a few years now, I was surprised to see her comment about that. Especially when I did say that, coffee isn't inherently bad. And yes, you will, when people have addictions to adrenaline inducing like Monsters, I won't drink a Monster that has caffeine in it. I won't drink green teas. I don't drink teas, but I do have my drug of choice. And that is 1 cup of coffee in the morning. That's it. That's my drug of choice. Okay? But hey, but it's balance, right? It's all about balance. If I'm drinking coffee all day long, then there's something obviously wrong. But if I'm just drinking, and I don't even need the coffee more, I just like it. I just like it. It doesn't necessarily give me like, I can do transmissions in the morning before my coffee. But that's my meditation. People talk about meditation and taking time for yourself in the morning or whenever it is, so you can reflect on what it is, who you are, and how you impact the universe. Well, yeah, drinking a cup of coffee and listening to myself speak on Facebook Live is my meditation. It's my way of just seeing how I can, I don't know, make my speeches better, see what I was missing, reinforce concepts. So that way I'm a better speaker down the road. So that's my way of just being with myself. And a cup of coffee or a cup of hot water or something else, everybody has their different things, and it's all relative to what you grew up in. I'm not necessarily going to go drink like I won't do the Vietnamese coffee, like the espressos. I won't do that. But a nice little cup of coffee in the morning from a good coffee maker is not a bad thing. And it tastes good. But anything more than this cup, it doesn't taste good. Because your body will tell you, okay? And some of you never had an energy drink, that's great. And some people have, but there's no judgment, Zeta, right? Zadie, there's no judgment. If you had an energy drink in your life, great, not a big deal. Okay, we're not trying to cast judgment on people's what they've done in their life. It's no big deal if you had a cup of coffee. I mean, hey, if you are morally against energy drinks, then don't drink it. But if somebody else drinks it and then they like it, okay, great. Now, if you are doing the J juice and you're healed and sealed for the most part, and you drink an energy drink, well, I won't do it, but someone else might. Who knows? My husband drinks a lot of energy drinks. Not a lot, but he does do it. He's not, I don't know if he doesn't that much anymore. But but we're not trying to cast, the whole point, Zadie, is we're not trying to cast judgment. That's my whole point of this whole transmission, is not casting judgment on what people eat and drink when they're on the protocol going through biochemistry. When you start casting judgment on what people eat and drink during their process on the protocol, well, it comes off as a judgment, Zadie, just so you know. Whether it's a fact or not, is it something that you need to say? All right? I mean, what's your intention? That's my whole point, is what's your intention when you give off a comment? Are you trying to make someone feel bad because they did? Are you trying to uplift yourself to feel superior? That's what I'm trying to talk about. So if somebody does drink coffee or an energy drink, and that's where they're feeling during this process, their biochemical process, no judgment. Do what you got to do, but just drink J juice. Do what you have to do, and then drink J juice. Okay? Because that comment was no different than Sharice Beck. And people will justify and rationalize their comments with a hidden agenda behind it. Okay, good for you, Zadie. What's your point again? You and we've had some dealings, Zadie. We've had some dealings because of I know what angle you're coming from. And I'll be quite honest. When you come from a very legalistic background, having very legalistic rules, especially when it comes to food, and then trying to communicate and filter your perceptions of these specific rules, it does come through. The judgments come through. Even though you're trying to rationalize, say that, oh yeah, my body inherently knows it doesn't need this or need that. I know what direction you're coming from. Okay? So it's like me saying, well, I'm, so much better than you because I don't drink this or I don't do that. No, your biochemistry does what it needs to do. Okay, so if you've never taken a drink or never had alcohol, whoop-de-doo, good for you. I've never done cocaine. But does that matter in the scheme of things? When I say to people, I've never done cocaine, guess what that really says to people? Oh, that you do cocaine, you're less than, you're bad. No, they did. Someone does cocaine. It's not, it's not a great thing, but hey, they did it for a reason. Things were going on in their life for a reason. There's no reason for me to cast judgment. I've never done a lot of things in life. Do I need to say it and say, oh, I've never done this, I've never done that? It means I'm so much better and so much more superior than you are. That's what it comes off as. So now I'm going to make you aware. I'm going to be a reflection. Okay, Zadie, I'm going to be a reflection on what you just said. And so you either want to look in the mirror and actually face your reflection, or you can rationalize your behaviors. Oh, I'm whatever, but I'm trying to, if you don't get this, Zadie, then whatever. I'm not going to argue with you, but here's the thing. I do delete people off my Facebook that are not getting it, and they keep wanting to rationalize their behavior. So just so you know, you're being warned. If you're going to communicate something, be very aware of your communication. And if you keep triggering me and I have to be a reflection of you, then I'm not going to have you on my Facebook. Just so you understand. Because I have a lot of people that try to put their agenda in under false pretenses. And then they don't get it. And then I have to then do what I got to do because I don't want to be triggered. I know where most of you have come from. Those of you who are vocal on my Facebook, I know we've had dealings. I know exactly what lens you're looking through. Some of you look through a very religious lens. Others of you are very legalistic. Others of you are very holistic, empathic, political. I know exactly where you're coming from. And so whenever you say something, I know exactly where it comes from, and I know what you're trying to do and say, and I don't like it. So if I know exactly where you're coming from, and you and I have had dealings, and I said, hey, please don't drop scripture, don't do this, doesn't mean you dress up the scripture in something else to be judgmental about. Okay? Just so you understand, you're not. It's obvious where you're coming from. So I'm going to be a reflection to you, Zadie. And if other people see it too, then that's great. It means that take a look at yourself. Not everybody can do J-Juice. Not everybody will do J-Juice to then question how they interact in the world. They won't see how they interact. They're still stuck in what they think is right. And J-Juice is just another platform for them to be legalistic and judgmental. It's just another way to justify their behavior. And I'm not going to have J-Juice be that manipulation for them. That's not the way my juice is supposed to work out. It's not supposed to confirm your legalistic ways. No, that's not what it's for. We're trying to create awareness about our behaviors and how biochemistry, and then also too how food fits in and where it fits in, and understand it. So then we can then do something about it. That's it. It's not about what you've never done or what you have done and how it makes you more better or less better or whatever. More better. Okay? So if you've already triggered me in the past, then most likely, if you're not on J-Juice 100%, and even if you've triggered me already within the last month or two, probably best that you don't comment, because you're not really aware of where your comments are coming from, and you're probably going to trigger me again because you're not aware. Well, now I just made you aware that you probably should just chill on the comments, drink the J-Juice, look at how you behave, how it is you're impacting other people. And not everything has to come from a legalistic standpoint when it comes from religion. Some people can drop scripture on their own page, and it's very legalistic, yes, but it doesn't come across on my page. Like, I don't see any legalism from they don't trigger me on my page. So you can be religious out there, and it's great, and not trigger me. That's what that's amazing thing is that somebody actually can be religious and have an amazing, outlook on Jesus and whatever else they believe in. But they don't impose that, and that doesn't come out and manifest in a different way. Because I pick up on that. Okay. Anyways. And then maybe also Zadie is also a reflection of me too. That's about the activism. So we're reflecting each other. And if we're seeing things that we don't like in each other, then somebody's got to go. Somebody's got to stop it. Stop that train. Right? Because either you go my direction or you go your direction. I mean, obviously, if we're not aligned, then somebody's got to go, right? I mean, come on. There's no point in taking two polar opposites and then trying to try to find a way. No, if there's no common ground, then there's no point in having any relationship. I mean, I know you come from good intentions, Zadie. I do understand that, but it's just being aware. And me too. I got to be aware of how it is I come across, and I got to clarify, and I have to be very, very, and it's a dance, and people will let me know, and I will let them know, and then we just learn from that, and we do better. And if we haven't really got to figure out a hold on how we interact, then we just be silent on people that we are not sure about, that aren't sure about us. That's why I don't always comment on other people's pages, because I'm not sure about their stance, so I'm not even going to trigger them, because I may trigger them the wrong way. And some people I care enough about that I will, and they can make a choice. Some people I just want, like, okay, it's not a big deal. So it's okay. I mean, it's no big deal, Zadie. I know your intentions are good, but we should all be aware of how we come across, and myself as well. Okay? And if we do trigger someone, if someone does come back at us with some whatever, then that is a mirror. So you are a mirror to me. I'm looking at myself and you, and I'm a mirror to you, and we're reflecting back what we don't like in each other. And then maybe we do better, find a way to clarify our position so we don't trigger each other. That's all. Because I can be just as accountable. All right. What is it? When you make a judgment, there's like a million people pointing their fingers back at you. Believe me, I understand that. But I also wanted to clarify about the thing with the coffee, because Sharice Beck made it very apparent there was a judgment. She claimed that she was healed and sealed, so coffee would not taste good. And that was a very direct statement that Sharice said. If you're healed and sealed, then coffee doesn't taste good. Who the fuck are you, Sharice Beck, to say that? Who says that if coffee tastes good or bad, if coffee tastes bad, it means that you're healed and sealed? That's a very absolute statement. That doesn't make sense, because I would say something totally different, and what's the point of that? You see what I'm saying? So I'm not going to deal with those absolute judgments when it comes to certain foods, because now where I'm at is I'm bringing in the balance. It's all about balance now. It's not about avoidance, not about judgment on who does what in this. I'm not going to go and take cocaine. No. I don't even want to do pot. No. But a nice little cup of coffee is not a bad thing. That's all I'm trying to say. Okay? All right. Y'all have a good one. Thanks.